Hey guys, this is my video for AP 858 on Truman Elementary School. So what do we know? We know that it is a suburban school. We know that their principal has been there for this is his second year, I believe. There, he was promoted from within the district, so he's been around. Um, their reading scores are struggling. They've been declining for the last several years, and the students are getting further and further behind as they progress through the school system. Parents are obviously going to be concerned about that. Their PTO president has brought up a letter to the principal to kind of address those concerns. Um, Within that, there are ineffective strategies, teaching strategies that are being used within the classrooms, and the curriculum needs a revision to be in line with the state standards. So, what do we need to know? We need to know what other PD they have attempted. What's been going on? What's been the norm? What have they been trying previously? We need to know what kind of budget's available, what funds are there to be spent on any applicable programs potentially, and what's going on in the other schools. Truman is the lowest performing of the district, and we need to find out why. We need to find out what's going on in the other schools, and hopefully start kind of setting up some cross district, cross building PD, or even just observations or something. So we also need to know who writes the grants for the district, as well as what specific skills the students are lacking. Is it comprehension? Is it phonics? Is it whatever it may be? We need to find out what specific skills are lacking so that we can target those skills. So in identifying the overall problem, we have low reading scores. They are, I would argue, those reading scores are beginning to affect the math scores. If you look at the data, the math scores are also steadily declining, and that's as they get into those higher levels of math. We start getting more word problems and things like that. So the effect of reading isn't just within and of itself; it's whole school wide, education wide. Secondary problems: ineffective teaching strategies are being implemented, and there's not enough influence on reading within the classroom, even with those outdated or ineffective teaching strategies being implemented. There's just not enough time being spent on them. So my plan, I'm going to get a letter from the superintendent. First of all, that was one of the requirements for the grant. I'm going to get that letter, and we're going to figure out who's writing that grant. It's either going to be, if there's somebody from the district that writes it, if it's going to be the reading specialist, if it's myself, teacher in the building, whoever it is, we're going to write that grant. And then our next PD session, we're going to review all the data with the teachers. We're going to say, hey, PTO is saying this. We're going to say, here's what our data is saying. Here's what my observations are. Here's what the reading specialist, here's her observations. And we're going to put that out to the teachers and get their input on it, and kind of try to work together to see what we can do to address those immediate issues. I'm going to contact the surrounding principals. As a district, we're all in it together. The principal, he's been in the district, so he has those connections, and we need to explore those options and see what else is going on in those other buildings that they're being successful. Hopefully, I'll be able to set something up where maybe one teacher from each grade level gets to go over one day a month or something to go and observe their peers in other buildings. We're going to implement intermittent testing, or not intermittent, but interim testing, and try to get those, that just build that data, find out what our kids are lacking, what skills they're lacking, what things we really need to start targeting, so that we can make things better for our kids. Also, we are going to establish PLCs to analyze that data, and we are going to get together with those PLCs on an ongoing basis throughout the school year to drive that data analysis, as well as to implement that data into our instruction as we move forward throughout the school year. We're also going to bring in some people to review our curriculum. That was one of the suggestions from our reading specialist, is that we amend our curriculum to get it back up to date with the state standards, And so we're going to do that with the help of teachers within the building, myself, as well as the district reading supervisor. And obviously we're going to make sure we're going to follow all the district policies and procedures and all that stuff as we go forward. But that's definitely going to be a major change for a lot of our current staff members. And then after we got all this up and running and we're moving through and we're rocking and rolling with the PLC and changing the curriculum and everything, we're going to communicate those changes with the parents. We're going to tell them, go into the PTO meeting, sending out a letter, sending out sending out a tweet, and just making sure that the parents are informed of what changes are going to be coming down the pike as we move forward. So how's my plan promote the success of all students? It increases teacher proficiency. The better teachers are as a whole, that's better for all students. The data that we're collecting, it's going to be based on all students. We're not only going to be targeting the struggling kids or the bubble kids or whatever. This is for all students. We want all students to improve. And we're going to identify not only the challenges, but also the celebrations. So what are we doing well? How do we take what we already do well, and how do we make it better, as well as how do we take that and help to kind of address some of those challenges that we are already having. We're using data to drive instruction. When we look at data, when we look at the numbers, we need to value that, and because the numbers don't lie, it is a unbiased opinion, if you will, and by using that data, it takes a lot of the feelings out of our job, and our decisions can be made a little bit easier as long as we're making sure we have that focus on what's best for kids. And when we're doing that, we can take that data and we can use it to break those kids up into groups based on their need, so that we can target those specific skills within the classroom kind of on an ongoing basis, and help them to be successful. So thoughts, feelings, and values. I'm thinking that we aren't going to qualify for that grant. It says that it is based on need. We are only, I believe it was 15% free and reduced. I don't think that that would qualify. I could be wrong, which is why we're still going to go ahead and apply for that grant. But we're not going to plan on getting it. So we're going to focus on what we can do for free. What can we do today for free to make an impact? And just going in and having the teachers start those PLCs and discuss what they're doing in their classrooms, and traveling to other schools within the district, those are free. Those things that can make immediate impacts for the benefit of our kids. So we're going to also, what I'm feeling that we need to increase the instructional capacity of all of our teachers, which is why we're going out, working with other schools in the district, trying to address those specific instructional needs that they have, professional development needs that they have. Also, I'm glad the parents are concerned. That means they're participating in their kids' education. That's what we want. We want parents to know what's going on in the school. We want them to be talking to their kids. We want them involved. And I'm also kind of excited. I'm excited that we know what's wrong. And as soon as you can identify that problem and you know what's going on, you know what's wrong, and then you can begin to address it. You can start fixing those things. It's not just throw your hands up in the air and say I don't know what's going on and walk away from it. It's freeing to know what the problem is, because then you can do something about it. What am I valuing? I'm valuing reading. Reading is the cornerstone of all other contents. It is very important. I discussed how it's already impacting the math scores. And if we're looking into, I would assume, science scores and social studies scores, I would assume they are all suffering, especially as the kids work into those higher grade levels, due to the fact that the kids are struggling reading. So how am I engaging families in the communities? I'm listening to the parents, talking to the PTO, taking what they are saying and bringing it back to my staff, to create that community where we're all working for our students. Also, I'm enlisting the help of surrounding schools, other administrators in those buildings, working on partnerships with them, hopefully trying to get my teachers into their building. Maybe they want to come to ours. Maybe we're really good at behavior management or something, and they want to come check that out. And we can kind of build that reciprocal community of learning there. And also, I'm going to report back to the PTO. I'm going to go, once we have our plan together, we're going to go back and we're going to own our mistakes, and we are going to be clear and transparent with what we're going to change going forward, and how we're going to do that, so that our families know what to expect and know that we are there for their kids. So how's data going to be used? It was used to confirm the PTA's concerns over the reading. We're reviewing that observational data from myself as well as the reading specialist with the teachers to put that in their peripheral, at least, so they know what's going on. And then we're going to create PLCs to review the data. That's the whole purpose of our PLCs at this time, is to get into that data, figure out what's going on with it, and kind of make sure that our instruction is being data driven. So as we're going to begin that interim testing, just to create more data, or to collect more data, and to keep that ongoing process that we can kind of benchmark ourselves throughout the year, so we know what's working, what's not, before the high stakes test at the end of the year. So policy, law, and regulation. When the data is presented to the parents, is going to be an aggregate, not an individual. That's FERPA stuff where we're not going to attach kids' names to anything or stuff like that. We're going to make sure we're following district policy when we're going through the curriculum, changing the curriculum, making changes to how much time is devoted to specific contents each day, as well as we're going to ensure that once we do hopefully get that grant, that we're going to go through and make sure we have all our checks and balances down, that the money is being accounted for and tracked and spent for its correct and intended purpose. And how am I going to continue the dialogue with our outside stakeholders? That's reaching out to the surrounding principals, kind of building that kind of PLC of principals, if you will, within our district, that we can all kind of hopefully learn from one another, and kind of integrate our staff so that they can learn from one another. Then discussing the concerns as well as our plan with the PTO, and making sure that our parents are engaged and continue to be engaged in that process and know what's going on with their students. And discussing my plan with the superintendent, with the reading specialist. I'm reaching out to them, reaching out to the superintendent for the grant, because he has to write the letter and everything, going over that stuff. The reading specialist coming in and working with the curriculum, making sure that I'm going back to them and saying, hey, here's what we have, here's what's working, here's what's not. And for any PD that the teachers kind of come up with, that skills that they're lacking, we're going to reach out to outside organizations. Maybe we have something, a not-for-profit or something that would be willing to partner with us to help to provide that. I know we have some of those here in Kansas City. That we reach out to as kind of the middleman, if you will, to connect us with those needs. So hopefully you guys enjoyed my video, and hopefully you think my plan's pretty good and we can move forward. Thanks for watching.